Hey, friends, welcome back to Notes from the Edge. I am your host, Lisa Lacy, and this is the place we have the conversations we should have been having all along. And here we talk about the things that we're not talking about. And today, our guest, Marc Hopkins, is going to be talking about the miles we run from ourselves. So, we're talking about what happens when strength becomes an identity. We talk about that a lot in here, right? High functioning survival. Endurance becomes an escape, and pushing through becomes the only way we know how to survive. Listen, friends, I'm here to tell you from my own experience, you can only survive that so long. My guest, Marc Hopkins, has completed the Bigfoot 208 Ironman-distance triathlons and more than 200 endurance events. Boy, Marc, you were running. But the most difficult terrain he crossed was not found in the Cascade Mountains. It was within himself. His memoir, Hard Things, follows his grueling 200-mile ultramarathon while uncovering anxiety, family patterns, relationship dynamics, and a deeply rooted need to prove his worth that had been running alongside him for years. This is not a convo about running farther. It's a conversation about understanding why we run, what we could be running from, and the difference between truly enduring life and merely surviving it. And what we want to do is live one of freedom and liberation. Marc, welcome to the show. How are you today, my friend?
Doing great, doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about this conversation. My goodness, you have done a lot. We always open up with the origin story of our guests because if you've landed on this show, your path has not been linear, and it's probably been a strange story to what led you to write your memoir and want to share your story with people. So, how did you end up in this place today?
Yeah, a lot of work, and as you're noting, a lot of twists and turns I was not expecting.
Yeah.
I kind of came out thinking I was going to just, live this amazing life, 9 to 5, I don't know, whatever, executive, blah 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 blah, and never stopped to think about all the stuff that was inside that kind of needs to be worked on or addressed, and how that can really affect, you know, whatever vision or dream it is that you're chasing. So I kind of along the way, I did some deep dives and some digging into the inside, and that's kind of what brought me to the book, and then brought me here.
I love it. I love it. Well, you entered the Bigfoot 200 believing you were taking on an extraordinary physical challenge. But when did you realize it was more than what you thought?
Yeah, it was one of those. I think that there's always kind of that background noise that something's going on, that that there's something more. But it wasn't until a few years after where it really kind of clarified for me. When I was done, I wrote the first version of this book, and at
Okay.
that point, it was a self-help. It was like, you can go out and you can do these big things,
Go
and
do
you
it.
can accomplish this, and here's these 6 steps that I developed that are going to, help you accomplish your big thing too, right? And it was good. It was good. But it just wasn't quite there, and I wasn't sure what was missing until I was talking to a friend, and she said, "Why did you run 200 miles?" And I kind of gave him a standard answer at the time: "Is I have free weekend." That's also right. Uh, so it's like, and so I had this free weekend, went for the run, and she's like, "No, really, why?" And so I says, "Oh, well, my mental health and physical health." And she's like, "No, why? Why are you running 200 miles?" And
Because that's not
that
normal,
actually
man.
made me stop, and I didn't have an answer in that moment,
Oh,
but I kind of really said, okay, why did I act do? And then I'm like, oh, there's stuff there. And so as I wrote
ah.
the book, really is how a lot of this kind of got uncovered, and where I really was.
Oh, Marc, you cut out on that last little bit. So we heard that's why, and then you cut out on that last little bit. Can you say that again?
Oh no.
you're freezing a little
Oh, I was just
tiny
saying that.
bit.
Yeah, that's why I ended up
Redoing the book.
I'm not sure what's going on with my feed here. Everything is good. My signal looks strong.
Yeah, you are freezing
I'll
and cutting,
probably
and we're
just
missing some
try this
important
real
stuff.
quick. Oops, are we there?
Yep, I can hear you. I can hear you. Wave your hand so we can see if we can see you.
Okay, hopefully we're back here.
All right. All right. All right. Well, we're
Okay.
back. There we go. Now we
I don't
see
know.
you. Now we got you. We got you. Okay. When grit, I love the word grit because it's really needed. Life's getting hard. But
All right.
when grit becomes avoidance, let's talk about that. Oh, we lost you. Where'd you go? Uh-oh. We lost Mark for a minute, guys. Hang tight. Hang tight.
Yeah, I'm still having some sound issues here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I'm Are we there? I've got a strong signal on my end. It seems to think everything's working.
It looks like you reset something. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Are
Let's
we good now? I
try.
sincerely
You're good
apologize.
now. No problem. Hey, we're doing tech stuff. You're gonna have tech problems when you're doing tech stuff. It never fails. It never fails.
Well, here's
So
another thing to push through.
yeah, well, speaking of that, let's talk about grit and endurance and pushing through. And when does perseverance stop becoming healthy?
Yeah, yeah. For me, when it kind of comes to grit, or when I look at grit, I look at it like a two-sided coin. And on one side is that, messages out there, have the grit, stay in there, push through, do anything, do everything. And there are
Mm,
absolutely days where that is what's gotten me through. And I needed to have that grit. I needed to be able to just suck it up and hang in there
get it done.
and
Yeah.
yeah, just get it done and survive, right? I just need to make it to the end of the day. The other side of that coin, though, I kind of see is and a much better place to be. And that's where you really understand why. Like, why am I having the grit? Why am I pushing through? Or do I even need to? Right? What am I carrying that
Mm.
I can set down and put behind me? It's that kind of it's much more self-evaluative. We're going to use that word. It's kind of
It's a
again,
word. We make up
okay,
words in here.
good. We're running with it. But it's a closer look at ourselves and what are we enduring and why. And I think that that's a much deeper place, and that's where you can kind of get to the better grit, right? Because now you're gritting for a purpose, you're gritting for a goal, you're gritting for kind of an end, as opposed to I just need to survive the day. And I think
Mhm.
both are necessary at different times. Ideally, though, we can get out of that first side of the coin where it's just survival and live much more of our lives on that other side, where it is, again, a lot more about what do I want? What are my goals? What am I gritting for at the end of the day?
Yeah, well, and here we have a saying that we ask better questions, and one of those is why. And if we're living intentionally instead of on autopilot, we're going to make much better conscious choices for ourselves. And in my journey, I was a workaholic. I was a corporate executive. In the background, I was drowning myself in a bottle for 20 years, surviving. I had all the things, the six figures, the cars, the house, the polished family on Facebook. Boy, was that a fucking joke. But but I was struggling behind the scenes, and I didn't need to be pushing as hard as I was pushing. And for me, the end result was mental collapse. So, guys, if you can catch yourself before the crash, now rest without guilt is a practice. It takes practice because workaholism was a coping mechanism of mine. Yes, was it necessary for literal survival to put food on the table because I was the primary financial survivor, supporter of the family for many years, but Rest is a skill for some of us just as much as the grit is a skill. Make sense?
Absolutely. No, and rest
Yeah.
is key. In training for this, one of the key things is rest. Rest is when your muscles rebuild, your brain resets. That's when, and if you don't rest, you actually can't achieve your full physical potential, or definitely believe and agree with mental potential and everything else. Sometimes we just gotta, and it's also, I think, when you rest that you get that chance to look around and do some of that reflection. Because when you're just go, 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 you're workaholic and family and this and that, you don't have that time to pause and make those reflections.
Yeah, and rest without the I need to be doing, I should be doing, I better be doing, right? Literally, like this is part of my business is rest. I worked with a business coach once where meditating on manifesting and being intentional on where she wanted her business to go was just part of her daily practice. It was pretty brilliant. Um, so the patterns that run beside us, during your journey, you began examining your family patterns, the way they influenced your relationships. Oh boy, can they, and how you parented your children. What did the race reveal about the patterns you had been carrying, and what did it take to change them?
Yeah, that's a lot of questions. I wrote a whole book about that one, but
There's a
um,
book, guys. Get the
there's a
book.
book. Yes, but to kind of sum up, a lot of what I looked at, I'm one of 8 kids, and
Wow.
I'm the second, and my dad left, so it was a single mom, 8 kids. Very shortly after the 8th was born,
Oh.
and my oldest brother, he can admit this now, he made some of the not as wise choices. He took the route of drugs and partying and really just kind of escaped off that way. And so I looked at all that and I says, okay, I have to not be a problem first and foremost, right? I don't want to be
Mhm.
stand out. I don't want to give mom more grief. I don't want to give her another reason to be upset or sad or anything else. And not only that, but I also need to be, so don't worry about me, but I
Mm.
will worry about you. I will be the caretaker. I will pick up everything and I will carry it for you and I'll fix this and I'll do whatever I can. And so it was really kind of that foundation that really I started going in. And as a result of all this too, the bigger, I think, as just as important, we didn't talk about anything that was difficult or hard. My mom didn't do it because she didn't want us to worry. She didn't want us to worry about the financial situation, about her, stress, her worries, her and everything else. So if it wasn't good, we didn't talk about it. And so
Wow.
I took all of that forward and I did the same thing with my kids. I didn't talk about difficult things so they wouldn't worry, so they
Mhm.
would see me as a good, strong, worthy,
Solid.
solid parent, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
because if I'm going like I'm stressed today, or I don't know, I'm unhappy, or any of those things, then right, then they worry, and I'm not a good parent, right?
right, right.
All these stories we tell ourselves. So I had to kind of give off this persona of the guy who's got it all together, right? And I
Yep.
have it all together. You don't worry about me. I'm going to worry about you. I've got you what you need. How can I help? All those kinds of things. And that one-sidedness, it takes away a lot of ability for intimacy or and not even, sexual, but just like personal. Like, how
Yeah.
do you get to know each other? How can my kids, we never really got to see the real me and know who I really, really was. We had a great relationship, but it didn't get as deep as it potentially could. And then same thing with my relationships, because, I didn't talk about anything that was difficult. I didn't talk about anything that was hard. And I was trying to do everything for you and don't do anything for me, right? Because I've got
Yeah.
it, you know, and that's very hard to be. And from my side, I was like, oh, this is making a great relationship because I've got everything for them. But from their side, it's like, who's kind of also behind there. And sometimes people want to do something for me, or they want to help, or they want to work together. There's just so many parts of that relationship where it's hard to be on the other side of that. Um, and so I
So,
found that,
Mark, what happened when you dropped that mask? What happened when you
yeah,
started saying, "You know what? I'm struggling today."
yeah.
Hmm.
I think the big fear, And I'd love to hear your experience with this too. But for me, the big fear was if I spoke my truth, if I revealed, if I kind of opened up, that everything was going to fall apart, right?
Yep.
My
Yep.
relationship was going to end.
Mhm.
My kids were going to disapprove, hate me, think less of me. My
They
friends
were
were going
gonna
to,
fall apart too. Yeah.
yeah. And my friends, oh, who was that? Whatever. And everything's just going to fall apart, right? And
Yep.
and so that was, I was just, that was my fear. And so um what had kind of in the book, and this is again kind of really what happened when I was training for the 200, I had this horrible training weekend where everything just came off the rails. And
Oh,
there's a lot of reasons for it. And I kind of, go into it, but just long story short, everything fell apart. And at the end of that weekend, I decided I'm not even going to start the race.
well,
I
you're
can't do
ready to
it.
quit.
Yeah, I had quit. I can't do it. I'm done. I didn't officially quit, but in my mind I did.
Yeah.
And then the next day, um, I got some rest, as we were talking about. And the
Mhm.
next day, I kind of said and looked at everything over and I said, you know what? I'm just going to start. I will start the race
I
and
love
we'll
that.
see what happens. I
Yeah.
didn't, and then I told nobody about that weekend. When anyone asked about it, I'm like, oh, it was a good training weekend, or things went well, or I got in some good training time. I don't know, I'd come up with some kind of a generic answer that didn't lie. Um, and then I didn't tell anybody that I had decided not to start and that I wasn't sure I could finish. Because at that point, after that training weekend, I wasn't sure that I could even finish the thing. And then at the end of the race, it was like the last two sections, and I did one with my son and one with my partner at the time.
Oh.
And that was the first time I told them. And I was so afraid that, again, everything was going to fall apart, that
Mm.
um, again, I was going to be seen as less than and unworthy. And their responses were what really helped me kind of turn things around, because it was like, my son's like, Dad, I don't care if you run 200 miles. I don't care if you run 2 miles, right? You're my dad and I love you, and I love you for who you are. And why would you even think that? And same thing with my partner. She was like, you know, I don't care, like I'm just proud of you. And if you didn't finish, that would have been okay if you didn't start. And so I kind of realized, for me, how much shame I was taking, and this is kind of where I really found the strength and vulnerability, where I thought I was being strong, but it actually took more strength and more from me to admit those things to them, and to kind of open myself up to what I thought was going to be the judgment, which was just, again, love and support. And so that's what really kind of turned it around for me and made me realize that how much deeper my relationships could be, how much better things could be if
Mm.
I could be truly strong and
Yeah.
be open about who I am, what I'm feeling. And that doesn't mean, I'm losing it all and I drop on the floor, right? But it does mean,
Right.
like,
We're not like
I'm hurting.
trauma dumping every day, but just like, boy, that was a really hard training weekend. I almost quit. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I'm
Yeah.
hurting right now. I'm sad right now. I'm whatever it may be. I can
Yeah.
have feelings and it's okay.
Yeah. And isn't it fascinating, because I ran from these emotions for so long. I mean, part of the reason in my situation was I didn't have language for what I was enduring behind the scenes. And even once I had language for it, I didn't want to come forward and let people know I was struggling. But once I sobered up and turned and faced the emotions, it was like you. I was like, oh my God, what the hell have I been running from this whole time? It's not that bad. It's not that bad, you guys. Face your
Oh,
feelings, do the personal excavation, and then share it with people. Because guess what? The people in your life that love, care about, and are of service to you, just like you are of to them, do want to know what's really happening inside of you and for you, so that they can show up in the best way for you. The handful of people that we get, because I believe if we get, three or four in our inner circle, we're super super lucky that way. So yeah, that is it. We can perform strength. Yes. Strength can
absolutely.
become a performance. That's why I have this mask here. It is a mask sometimes. And competence can be camouflage for what's really happening internally and behind the scenes too. So, yeah, it's never as bad as we think once we
No,
take the leap.
But
It's
it's so
not.
scary. It's so scary to think about that, right? I mean, I'm sure once you opened up and were saying, "Hey, here's what's
Well,
going
dude,
on," you had the
I've done
same
such a
fear,
good job of plastering the veneer everywhere. When I came out of my second marriage, people were like, there's no way all that's been happening behind the scenes. I was like, yeah, it has. Yes. That's how good of a performance I put on. Yes. This has been terrible. This has been terrible for
right?
13 years. Yes. Yeah. People didn't believe me. Some
And they're
people
like, "Why
didn't
didn't you
believe me.
tell me?" Right? "Why didn't you
Yeah.
tell me sooner? And
Yeah.
why didn't we have these
Yeah.
conversations?" And yeah,
Exactly. The shame we carry, the shame
yeah,
we carry, especially those of us that in childhood were the absorbers of all the emotions for others to make other people comfortable, that had to take care of ourselves. I got it, I got it, I got it. You don't worry about it. I don't want to worry about you. Like I tiptoed around my house to be as quiet as possible, literally tiptoed. I mean, it made me a better competition dancer, but it carried into my relationships. So, and we talk about identity a lot in here too. Um, and the identities we build. And we ask big questions in here. We ask better questions in here about who are we really. When someone has built an identity around accomplishing difficult things, what happens when they stop proving, performing, or pushing? Like, what happened when well, you had to rest to heal your body, but real rest. What changed for you in your life when you stopped the performance?
yeah. Geez, so much. Yeah, before I think fortunately I had that moment where I was able to reveal myself and be open and vulnerable. And then I had that moment where I dug those deeper whys.
Mm,
If not, the challenge is it's not sustainable, right? And especially for me, because I kept going bigger and bigger and bigger, right? I was
mm,
like, oh, I'm going to do a triathlon, and now I'm going to do a half iron, a full iron, and an ultra marathon, and now it's 50 miles and 100 miles, and now 200 miles, and
yeah.
eventually you hit a wall, and
Yep.
whether it's because you keep getting bigger, and eventually you're going to kind of have a limit to what you can do, or whether you're just, as you kind of were saying,
I
just
crashed.
surviving, yeah,
Yeah.
and you're just hanging in there.
Mm.
Eventually you're either going to have to get off the train or it's going to crash. And I kind of look at it like I some of my enduring versus endurance. The enduring is that like you're hanging on the side of the train and you're just hoping you can hang on until it stops. Right? And that's it, right? You're like,
You wanna
can
be
I
like
hang in
a
there?
coach in a bed, yeah, don't be hanging on the side of the train.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm hanging on the side of the train and I'm hoping I can hang on until it stops. And I have no idea where it's going or when it's going to get there or anything else. And that's that survival, right?
Yep.
And so and that's definitely where I was. And again,
Mm.
fortunately, was able to have these insights and recognize this before I had the complete crash. Um, I'd still, things weren't perfect. That relationship didn't work out. It's not like all of a sudden I had these insights and everything is all, unicorns and rainbows. But my relationships with my children, my relationships with everyone else, my future partnered relationships have been amazing and much more better because I can come with that honesty, that vulnerability, and that connection. And I'm not hanging on the side of the train anymore. Now this is more
Yeah.
endurance. I'm driving the train, right? I'm like, I want to go here. And it may still be difficult, but I'm going the direction I want. There's
Yep.
a purpose and there's a finish line. And that's
Yeah.
very different. I'm a destination. And when I get there, I can stop, I can rest, I can relax,
Celebrate yourself, yes.
celebrate,
Don't
absolutely
just move
celebrate.
on to the next thing. That was
Yes.
my thing too. I would accomplish one thing and then another thing and then another thing and martial arts and Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, CrossFit, and I just more and more and more. And I never stopped to celebrate how far I have gotten. That's why, like with this podcast, is doing so well in like 37 days. We're ranked in 17 countries. I'm taking time throughout the day to go, whoa, people want to hear from these guests. They want to have deeper level conversations. They want to hear the real shit. Some people are tired of the surface level 30-second TikTok, 5 steps to get there, right? We
Yeah.
we want to hear the truth. the
Yeah.
the raw, honest truth. I think people are hungry for it right now, which is one of the reasons for um just doing this. And yeah, I'm taking time each day to sit in gratitude, to sit and rest, to celebrate it, and to not be in a hurry for what the next thing is, and not push it, you know? Like, I
Yeah.
was pushing the damn train. I wasn't hanging on to the train, I was pushing the whole damn train, right?
Yeah.
So you want to drive the train. I'm still sitting in like a bed and coach. Somebody else can be driving my train.
That's
That's
all right
cool.
too. We all have
Yeah,
our spots. Let's
it's
keep
just
where we
better
are.
than pushing it. It's just
Yeah.
better than pushing it. So, all right, the 1,000-mile journey. Your work includes 6 steps for completing a 1,000-mile journey. Let's talk about those steps, and talk about how they came about, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about your book, because I have a memoir coming out in October. Well, pre-sale October. We launched November 1st because the veil is thin. But as you well know, in writing a memoir, if you're not going deep and telling the truth in a memoir, your readers are going to know. So you got to go there. You got to
Yeah.
go there in a memoir. So let's talk about your 6 steps, and then let's talk about the book.
Awesome. Yeah. And congrats on that, by the way.
Thank you.
It is not easy. And it is that realization of you got to be open and honest and vulnerable. And I think that's why that first version, that self-help
There's
version,
always a first version, yeah.
yeah, and it felt flat. It wasn't even right to me. And it was exactly what you're saying. I wasn't being honest. I wasn't being vulnerable. I wasn't going deep. And then as soon as I did, I'm like, oh, it's not a self-help, it's a memoir, and it's all these things. So congrats on all of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, the
You as
six
well.
Yeah, and the 6 steps, that was the self-help. They kind of carried over. I kind of they're put them at the end, and I mean, they're kind of sprinkled in, and then there's like a page at the end, and then you can go to the website, and get like more details on them. But they're very helpful for me, and this is, I still kind of use these, and they kind of came about after that bad training weekend. I went out to just run, and I had lost all joy in running because I was pushing so hard, and that's
Mm.
part of why that weekend just fell apart. And I was just had these goals and I wasn't hitting them, and I was falling apart physically, mentally, everything else. So I took a down day. And then I remembered a coach of mine in the past who he had, this was just to complete a race, right? And he kind of 3 steps or 3 things to think about, because everyone's, I got a time goal, and I got to do this, or I want to win the race, or all these things, right? That they're kind of coming in with. And he's like, you got to let go of that. And here's these first steps. And I kept the first 3. So those will be kind of his 3. And then I kind of added on them, because they really change your perspective of things. And so the first step is to just take the first step. He called it the courage to start, right? And it was really, that's just getting out there and taking it on, and doing that first thing.
And sometimes do it scared, because sometimes the fear doesn't go away until you do it.
No, not sometimes
Yeah.
it's fear. Sometimes it's like a lot of people say, what motivates you to get out the door and go run all these distances and stuff? And sometimes I'm like, I'm not motivated, but I tell myself, matter of fact, this happened, geez, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I got up and I think I was supposed to do a 10-mile run. I'm like, I don't feel like moving. I'm like, but you know what? I'll go for a walk. I'm just going to go for a walk, and I'll take those first steps, and I'll kind of get out the door. And then, within 10 steps out the door, I'm jogging, and then I'm running, and I did my 10 miles. So a lot of
Nice.
times it's like, whether you're afraid, whether you're unmotivated, whether you're tired, whatever, just taking that first step moves you in the right direction. And sometimes that's all you need to kind of build some momentum.
And it can be baby steps, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for in the case of the coach, like I said, that's what decided I'm going to start the race, right? It's taking that first step, because a lot of people, you know, I want to finish, I want to do this. It's like, let go of all that and just take that first step.
Start.
Just get
Just
out
start.
there, start, and just move. And then there's trust that everything else will kind of come together, or it won't, as it's meant to be.
Yeah.
So that was kind of take the first step. And so that's what got me to the start line of the race.
Nice.
For sure.
Nice.
Um, the next one is stay healthy, and again,
Yeah.
above and beyond, I want to finish in this time or anything else. It's like, well, let's just stay healthy. And, that's eat right, sleep right. That's all those things, but it's actually so much more than that, because again, I was pushing myself in to meet goals, to meet deadlines. And I was forcing myself. And one of these days I came upon this huge snowpack, and I didn't plan on there being snow, and I'm lost, and I'm traversing over snow and collapsing through it and all this. And then I'm beating myself up because I'm not doing the miles fast enough, you know, and which of course it's going to be, but I was in such a mental and physical state that I was pushing, and
Mhm.
not stopping to look around, not thinking about anything else. And that's where I kind of let go of some of that healthy, right? I let go of some of that. I wasn't eating right. I wasn't, well, I mean, I wasn't nutritioning as well as I said. There's several things because it was all just single focus push. That's that grit. That's that survival, right? I've just got to
Mhm.
hit these deadlines. I got to hit these times because if I don't, it all falls apart. Whereas if I just kind of said, I'm going to be healthy today. You know, I'm not going to go traversing over dangerous snowpacks. I'm not going to be doing some of this stuff. I'm going to recognize that today I'm going to be a little slower because I'm at altitude, because I'm traversing snow,
Yeah.
because of these things, instead of having this singular goal that I'm just working towards. And when I don't make it, I'm just beating myself up.
Well, and I think in staying healthy, our inner critic counts too, because when we're beating ourselves up, that's not healthy either. That's technically self-abuse. You know, when I first started, my journey started at 40 years old. I turned 40 in inpatient rehabilitation. I went in thinking I had a bad marriage and a slight drinking problem and came out with a chart like this thick. It was great. It was fantastic. But
Yay.
yeah, staying mentally healthy matters too. And what we tell ourselves to ourselves matters the most. So not only physically healthy, but mentally healthy. It all goes hand in hand. One feeds into the other. Our brains are not disconnected from our bodies, and many trauma survivors are so disconnected from their bodies. And may I point out, we are all trauma survivors. It's part of the human experience, and nobody gets out of it. Some of us have it worse than others, but nobody gets out of this place without a little bit of trauma in there. All right, what's the next step?
Absolutely.
What's the next step? We got to stay healthy.
Yeah. We're on 3 is have fun.
Oh,
And
playing.
yeah, and it's like, and again, it's like before you worry about I'm going to finish this time, you should be having some fun while you're out there. And I wasn't. Again, when everything collapsed, I was
You're
not
like,
having
this
fun.
sucks.
The joy was out of it. It was like something that I used to love is now it
Oh,
was just work, and it was dry. And so, and to kind of get to your point, as you're saying earlier, like celebrating, the thing
mm,
is it's going to take you however long to get to your goal, right? And then that goal, is, it's fleeting, it's over quickly, and you should celebrate it, and then you're on to the next thing. Most of that is the journey. And so I'm like,
yeah,
have some fun on it. And that's like stop and look around. And I've started doing that. If I'm in a race and I'm like hurting and I'm like, oh, this sucks, you look around, there's forest, there's ocean, there's something around you, there's people cheering, I don't know, whatever, and you find a moment of beauty and joy, and it's surprising how quickly your body relaxes, how quickly you can kind of get back in your rhythm, how quickly those negative stuff in your head go away just by getting back to fun,
yeah, I love
joy
that.
and beauty, right?
Pleasure and
So
play. You gotta
yeah,
play. If it's not fun, it's not worth doing. Yeah. And I
absolutely.
think as adults and high functioning adults, we forget about playtime. You know,
Yeah,
we don't think there's time for play. And
no,
the
and
whole
it's so
thing can be
important.
play. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the whole thing can be play. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've kind of taken that. I'm like, if I'm not having fun, why are we doing this? And sometimes there's a reason. You're like, okay, but can we have fun while we're doing
Yeah,
that, right? And so
exactly.
yeah, they've got to bring some joy into everything, because that just, if we have to do it, then at least it's more enjoyable. And if you don't have to do it, then let's at least have fun while we're doing it, right?
And
So
actually, if you don't have to do it, don't do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. You know,
yeah,
that's a conscious choice too. As long as we're no longer on autopilot. See, I was on autopilot, right? And I wasn't making conscious choices. I didn't know how to make conscious choices. So if you're living your life on autopilot, you're going to be missing so many opportunities for that joy, pleasure, and play.
so many, and
Yeah.
your life transformed by that, transformed.
Yes. Absolutely, my friend.
Yeah. And then so 4 is take it in segments. And that's just like when I stop and think about, it was 206.5 miles.
Whew.
That's like, I'm like, how do I run that? Right. But when you break it down, this whole, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Right. And so it's like,
Mhm.
I just got to get to the first aid station. and then to the next aid station, and then to the next. And when you break it down into these pieces, it becomes much more manageable. And I went back to school a few years ago and I got my master's, and it was the same thing. I've just got to get,
Congrats.
thank you. I've just got to get through this
Yeah.
class or this test or what. So by breaking it down, it just makes these huge, overwhelming things now a lot more doable, a lot more manageable.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes for me, even in sobriety, it is still just looking at what's in front of me today, right?
Yeah,
Just what's in front of me today. And some days you're at 60%, some days you're at 120%, and you've got to honor that too. So I love that. Take it in segments, whether it's a minute, whether it's a mile, but you don't have to do the whole thing at once. In fact, that's an impossibility.
it is. It really is. And I like
Yeah.
your example there too, where it's like, you're not just going to, I mean, I guess very few people can wake up and just go, I'm not going to be an alcoholic for the rest of my life, right? I'm just going to be done. It's like, no, that's hard. So I'm going to get through today or this hour or however it is. And it's just you can do, right? I can make it
Yes.
this far. I know that
Yes.
much. And so, and you'd be surprised how far you can go if you
Well, and
just
it's
keep doing that.
amazing. Look what happened in your story. You took it a day, you rested, and the next day you always feel a little bit differently the next day. So, my friends, those of you who are listening to this, that this just happened to land into your lap and you have no reason where this came from or why you're listening to it. If you're struggling today, just make it through today. There are some days where I still get to the end of my days and I'm like, you know what? I breathed today because I have a congenital blood disease. I breathed, I survived, I stayed sober. It was a win. Counts as a win. I made it through the day. That's a win.
Yeah.
So count your wins too and keep them small, keep them simple. Yep.
Yeah. And I've had many a day. I'm like, I got out of bed. That's my win
Yeah,
today.
I like
That's
that
what
one
I
too.
did
I
that.
like that one
I'm like, if nothing else
too.
happens today, I'm taking
Right.
that as my
See,
win.
you're
And
on the
sometimes that
ground.
is
Now
my
let's go
win.
back to bed.
Yeah, right. That's it. And there's days like that. But you get up and you do it, and then you try again. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. All right. What you
Um,
got next?
is adapt. And adapt is
Oh.
really, things are going to change. If I had been able to adapt, and kind of going back to that training weekend, and said, okay, there's snow, there's altitude, the GPS isn't working, all these things, right? That I hadn't planned or adapted for. And I'd say, okay, I planned for this many minute miles. It's going to be slower. In the race, and there was a time where I'm like, I'm getting to this aid station and then I'm going to sleep. Because you can during the race, it counts against your time. But if you're doing 200 miles, most of us are going to sleep a little bit. And so I'm
Yes.
like, I'm going to take a little nap, and I'm going to eat a burrito, because they had these big old burritos. And I get to that aid station, and it was a remote one. There was no burritos and there was no sleep station. And they're like, oh, no, that's at the next aid station, which is 20 miles away. Right.
Oh shit.
And so I'm spending all this time, I'm planning for this, I'm ready for this. I get there and they're just like, oh,
No
no, that's not
burrito for you.
here. No, that's the next one. And it's only 20 miles through the mountains. Right. And so it's like, so okay, I could have, again, that ability to adapt. And that was the kind of the difference in that training weekend. I was not adapting and everything was falling apart and crashing because I had these expectations that I needed to
Yes.
change. And then the other one, I said, okay, the expectations weren't met. Now what do I do? And I took a quick reset and then worked with my crew a little bit. And then I just said, okay, I'm going to get to that next one. You better believe I think I had 2 or 3 burritos there and a nap. So,
That's
um,
awesome. Oh yeah, expectations are the thief of happiness, you guys. Expectations of yourself, expectations of your others. Many of us high achievers have a really super high expectations of ourselves and very few expectations of other people. All expectations are going to set you up for disappointment because guess what? I don't care how long you've been on this healing journey, life still happens. External factors still get thrown at you. It doesn't mean, again, to Mark's point, rainbows, butterflies, and unicorns. Life is still going to happen to you, but the cool thing is you get way better at managing through it by adapting, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think if they're like me, in addition to real life coming into our expectations, I set my expectations for my best ever day, and maybe even a little bit over that, right? And so when you have your not best ever day, that's
Because
that's a
that's going
problem.
to happen. Yeah.
It's most of our days.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
actually I had a friend, and it was amazing. He said you can't always live at the top of the mountain, or that's a plateau, right? And
Yeah.
so you
Fair.
yeah, so
Yeah.
you're not going to always be at your best. Matter of fact, you're only going to kind of get there occasionally. Most of your time is going to be,
On the
on the sides of the
trail.
mountain,
Yeah,
on the
you're on the
trail.
trail. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you get to the top of the mountain, then there's another trail, then you get to the top of the mountain. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you
Yes,
set the
exactly.
expectations for that top, it's impossible and unsustainable. And you're always going to be, and that's if everything goes great. And let's be honest, as you're saying, life happens. Everything is not going to go to plan. So you're
Yeah.
just setting yourself up from failure from the very beginning. So have proper expectations, and then be prepared to adapt as life throws you all the many, many curveballs it's going to.
Yeah, life's gonna change. Life's gonna change. Alright, what else you got for us, Mark?
Yeah. And the last one is just visualize the finish. And
Always.
yeah.
Yes. Visualization is such a powerful tool. There are so many studies, so much science out there about that. Keep going, keep going.
Oh, no, that's exactly it. I mean, if you can't see yourself there, if you can't envision yourself, then it's so much more difficult to get there. When you can, that helps motivate you again. When I needed a reason
Mm,
to get out the door, when I needed a reason to, you know, keep moving, any of those things, and I could see myself there, I could visualize myself there. And then that also kind of helps now that I have a better understanding of my why. So if I can see myself there and understand why I'm trying to reach there,
mm.
you've got so much more motivation to push through all those hard times, all those hard things, as opposed to, I'm dealing with all this crap right now, right? And I can't even see myself at the end of this, and I don't even know why I'm doing it. So that
Yeah,
understanding what's waiting for you at the end, that visualization can make, as you said, studies upon studies, right? That it makes a
yeah.
big difference.
Yeah. Friends, they did a study with basketball players, and it's always fascinated me. They took two groups of basketball players and they were practicing their long shot. And so for 1 month, they took a group and had them practice on the court, literally practice their long shot. And then they took another group. They said, you can't touch the court with your long shot. You can only visualize you making the long shot. And they both improved their
Yeah.
long shot, and they didn't touch a ball. I mean, they did practice other stuff, but just through visualization. And there are so many studies and books out there on the power of visualization. The problem with us adults is we have lost the use of our imagination, and it takes creative imagination to really visualize what it is. You got to know your why, what do you want, what's your purpose, and then know that you're going to achieve it. Now, how you get there is going to take many paths, maybe not the path you thought. Certainly not going to be a straight line. If you're expecting a straight line, you're in for a big surprise. But yeah, I love that. Visualization is such a powerful tool to help motivate and provide hope, you know?
Yeah, hope. I love that, because that is. And some days, again, that's, you just need to get out of bed. You just need to have a little bit of hope. You just need to kind of make it through that day. And then that can change everything.
It can. It can. All right, book. Let's talk about the book. Talk about the book. Where can we find it?
Yeah, Amazon's probably the best.
Okay.
Goodreads, you can get it in almost any online seller, Barnes and Noble. It is in select bookstores now. It may be in some more, hopefully. And if not, you can always go
Fancy.
ask. They can order it.
All right, cool, cool.
So yeah,
Well, we're
it is
gonna
out
post
there.
the link, guys, so you don't have to worry about going and looking for yourself. It'll be right here everywhere we splash this. But it kind of tell us about the process of you writing it. How long did it take you, and when did you know this is work is done? It's ready to share with people.
Yeah, great questions. Again, I kind of started with the self-help, then I finally kind of got into the real stuff. Then I actually started working with, I had a writing coach, I had a critique group, I had a beta reader, I had a lot of
Mhm.
these people. And so it takes a village to make a book, or at least one that I think is good. And they would call me out on stuff and keep me honest.
Yep.
And yeah, and so it was kind of an ongoing journey. And to write it, when I finally realized, oh, this is what was going on, and this is the real motivations, I actually sat down. I think I wrote it in 2 or 3 months, the bulk
Yeah.
of it, the what they call the well, you call it a rough draft at that point. We're calling it your shitty first draft, right? It's just like,
Yep,
just
yep,
get it
yep.
done, right?
Get it
And
out. Get it
yeah,
out.
get it
Yeah,
out. And that
yeah,
happened quick. And then it was
yep.
just months and months after that, of course, editing and all that other
Refining
kind
and
of stuff,
editing and
refining.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I
we're
think there was
narcissists.
a stage where I finally, and it still wasn't completely done, but where I finally kind of said, okay, I think it's like anything else too. You got to know when to walk away, right? You got to know, like,
Oh, because
okay,
you can tweak something to death.
oh, I'd still be
But then
tweaking
what
that thing.
happens when you tweak it, you tweak your own voice out of it. Like, you
Yes.
can't over tweak it.
Yeah. And so I kind of finally hit that moment where I'm like, okay, this says what I want it to say in a good way. I feel it all flows. It all does everything it's supposed to do. It's honest. It also tells the story of the race and, the pain of going through that and, and what that was like. And it's very visual as I'm going through there's a forest and desert. And I mean, there's a little
Oh,
bit of everything in there. So,
nice.
and that's when I'm finally like, okay, we'll do small tweaks from here. But that's when I was ready to kind of set it down and let it be done, even though I know, again, you'll find something in there. I'll find something in there. I could tweak that thing till I'm dead if I
Yes.
kept going back at it.
Yes, I finally had to go, okay, I'm writing myself out of my own book, guys, editor time. So I had to send it off to my editor was like, "What'd you do? Send me the other one." I was like, "I was working on it." She was like, "No, no,
Yes.
no."
Yeah,
She
and
was
that's where
like,
those other
"Stop
people are
working on
so
it."
important to us,
I
right?
know.
Like, yeah, like with
Yeah.
those good, reliable, trustworthy people in our lives, not just with our books, with anything, who can kind of say, hey, no, no, no. Like you said, you wrote yourself out of that. That one is better, even though you may think like, whatever it is, whatever reasoning you put in what you're doing, the other one was more honest, more vulnerable, more real,
Yes. Raw. We're raw. Yeah.
more
And
raw.
we're all about authenticity in here. All right, Mark, we're coming to our close here. And we always ask our guests 2 questions. I'm going to go ahead and give you the first one, but I kind of, we've already answered it, but I want you to dig into it a little bit. In your life, what did you perform the most in order to survive? And then how did your life change when you dropped that role masker performance?
Yeah, I think the most thing that I was performing was just trying to be that worthy person, right? That
Mhm.
worthy father, that worthy partner, the worthy son, um, just that person in the world that belonged somewhere. And
Mhm.
um, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm like thinking about that. I mean, there was a
No,
lot in
it's
there. It was
good. It's good.
yeah, I was just trying to be, worthy, and to do so I was trying to live up to the expectations of others. I was trying to I had these, talking about expectations, unrealistic views of who or what or could I should be. I hid a bunch of stuff, about who I really was, things I really liked or enjoyed, or things that made me happy, because I was afraid how others might think or enjoy that. So that's probably the most performative, and I lived a lot of my life like that. And it's kind of funny you say it was how you lived a lot of years on autopilot. That's almost exactly what it was. I was just going through the
Going,
motions. Yeah, I was getting
going.
up,
Yeah.
performing, going to bed, getting up, performing, going to bed. And it was like, and when I think back, that was some of the emptiest,
Empty's a good word for it. Yeah.
yeah, time in my life. There was just, we talked about joy. We talked about all these many, many things that each of us are deserving of and worthy of and should have, and yet I was devoid of that in my life. And so yeah, and that changed since then. I mean, yeah, like I said, my relationships have changed, and it's
And
still
your
scary.
relationship to yourself changes. And I think, for me, I was drowning in self-hatred for a really long time. And there's something very cool about getting to a place where you dig yourself as a human. You're just like, I'm a really cool human. I like my own company. I can be alone with myself and we're all good, all up in here. Like it's fantastic.
Yeah,
It's
I like
fantastic.
me, and you
Yeah,
don't have to like me, and that's okay.
exactly. Like we
Right?
don't give a shit anymore. Yay.
Yeah,
Yes. I'm going to do what I do.
yeah,
Yes.
and I'm gonna
With
find the
love
people
and
that like
kindness and
me.
directness. And if it's not your jam, go find what is.
Yeah, find what is, and then you'll find your people there who, love you and respect you for who you are and for that true person. And
Yeah.
that's, yeah, your life is so transformative in every single way.
Absolutely. Agreed. Agreed. All right, last question. What do you think we should be talking more about but are not?
Well, I love this podcast because you guys
Thanks.
are doing that. You're talking about all those things. So,
Yeah.
um, I think for me, geez, there's so much I wanted to say. I think what I will kind of leave with a little bit here is from a men's perspective, a lot of times there's things that we don't talk about that we should and need to. And, and it's everything from the vulnerability from I have feelings to, you know, yeah, I think that gets again
I
kind of
think
a
it's
lot of that
everything
performative
for men
space.
because I was raised to man. I got told to man. I'm from the swamps of Louisiana. I got told to man up, toughen up, suck it up, man up. Right.
Yeah,
So I ended up in like male dominated industries and, like I duded up for a little while. And I'm
yeah,
actually a very soft, feminine woman, but had this hard armor exterior that I'm still practicing dropping. It's still a daily practice to drop that survival pattern of the armor, right? Does that make
yeah.
sense?
No, it absolutely does. And I love that because you're right. That's I think kind of why I was hesitating to say that is because I don't think it's exclusive to men. And it really isn't. Like you said, a lot of women are told to man up. A lot of women are put under these same, actually, let's not be honest, not same expectations, even harder and tougher expectations, because you've got to overcome all this so much more just to kind of be there and in that space. So I think if we don't talk enough about letting that go, about
Yeah.
stepping away from that man up masculinity for men and women in the space and what we feel, who we feel we need to be what other people expect as opposed to just being our authentic
To
selves.
be
And
accepted, to be loved, to be worthy, to be deserving of. And you know what, guys? Get good at being misunderstood. That's cool. Get good at not everybody's gonna like you. I'm on social media. Yeah.
hmm,
I just had some guy put 200 one-star reviews on my Spotify account. It's gonna happen. Like, I'm having somebody fix it. They're arguing. I got one guy putting 5-star reviews, one guy put 1-star reviews, and it just keeps going back and forth. I'm like, my God, what have I stepped into? But yeah, not everybody's gonna like you. Not
yeah,
everybody's gonna understand you. And that's okay. Honestly, if we get a handful of people in our lives who are genuinely cool with who we are and we can be relaxed around them and be who we really are, then consider ourselves very, very lucky.
truth, very true.
Yeah.
I could not have
Yeah.
said that better. Well said.
Yeah. Well, my friend, we're going to plaster your book everywhere so people can grab it. I love this transformation that you have gone through and been through. I think so many people are going to learn from it and really enjoy the adventures that you take them on in your book. My friends, in the meantime, don't forget to ask yourself, what have you been performing in order to survive? And is it still serving you? And if it's not, how great can your life be if you drop the role, the mask, or the performance? All
Mhm.
right, Mark, thanks for being a guest. Guys, I'm your host, Lisa Lacy. Don't forget to answer that question. And if you have problems, reach out to either one of us, grab Mark's book, grab me. In the meantime, welcome to the edge. We'll see you soon.